Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to our Friday live stream. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by an all-star team, the estimable Jerry Hamilton. Also, my man Jeff Howe joining us, the latest member of the OTF fam. My man Jordan Scruggs joining us as well. Jerry won't be here for the entirety of the show. He'll be here for about the first 15 minutes, and then he's got to dip out. He's live from the Manning Passing Academy, so we'll get the update there. We also are patiently waiting on the announcement, the commitment announcement from Tuopu. Jordan Tuopu. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I've messed it up a few times, but he's going to announce his commitment coming up here in about 10 minutes or so. So we'll react to that. Texas, of course, one of the finalists for him. We'll also get into whatever you guys want to discuss, questions, comments, throw them out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. Just throw out a super chat. All right. In addition to the Junior Tuopo news, what other nuggets can you give us, Jerry, live from the Manning Passing Academy before you dip out?
Yeah, so they had the media session this morning. So Archie spoke, Eli spoke, Peyton spoke, and then a host of Cooper talked to the media, then a host of quarterbacks. Arch spoke for about 15 minutes. Obviously, that video is up on the YouTube channel right now. I caught about 10 minutes with John Mateer. I'm sure we'll have some of that. I had a couple of minutes with Julian Sand. Trinidad Chambliss probably spoke longer than anybody else. He's good at it. He likes it. I can tell. Marcel Reed was scheduled to be there. We were hoping to hear from him, but he didn't show up. He's at the camp, but that was not part of the media session. So nobody got to hear from him. Look, I think it was a lot about, what you would think it would be about. A lot of questions. I asked Eli about biggest difference between year one and year two as a starting quarterback, right? And he gave his thoughts on that. One funny thing was Archie did not touch the staying 5 years today. So that I think that question was a little off limits today. But he did not touch that one. But I think it was I could sense a lot of excitement from the Mannings for Arch's second year as a starter. I mean, you could sense that, okay, he got through the tough parts. And it's like Cooper, it's like Peyton said, and totally agree. And we talked about it. The adversity builds you. And any quarterback that doesn't go through adversity is not getting built. Not for where you want to go, not for how long you want to play. And so I thought that was a big part of today around those questions. Obviously the Arch Manning video is up right now. But it's a little breaking news, man. They're out here doing it's kind of funny breaking news. They're out here doing stations with all the kid campers. And CJ Vogel and myself, we were sitting out there watching some of the stations with Arch, and somebody asked Arch who is here we go.
Whoa. All right, there you go. We'll get back to your nugget from the camp, the Manning Passing Academy there, Jerry. But big news is Junior Tuopo, the defensive back out of the 2027 class, has committed to the University of Texas. Jerry, switch it up for us real quick.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Junior Tuopo? I think he's got some traits, some cornerback traits and some safety traits. But it looks like he's trending more toward being a safety with Texas.
Well, I will tell you this. I texted somebody on that and said, hey, where does Texas like Junior Tuopo? They said all five. He will get reps at all five, and they'll see where it works out for him. So, Rod, you're spot on with it. Will Muschamp was huge in this recruitment, obviously. He has some connections to Thompson High from his days at, LSU. And then Auburn, and then Georgia. So he's been around Thompson High a lot, but it's all five. I mean, he's going to get some reps at corner. See where it goes. It's a bigger corner, Rod. To your point, you saw those traits on tape. Then nickel, then safety, and then safety. So this is a guy who, look, people will circle him and pencil him in a position from a national ranking standpoint. But Texas does not have him penciled in at a position. And I was told that absolutely this morning, that he will be tried at corner, nickel, and safety, and then decide where he's best, and they're not ruling anything out.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm always about, Jeff, you and I have talked about multiplicity for a long time, positionless football. He's definitely one of those guys that fits just being an elite defensive backfield defender. And depending on what you need, or at least what you envision for this young man, you can put him at either spot back there. What do you like about this young man's game, Junior Tupou?
Can I give you my terribly simplistic comp for Junior Tupou to a former Longhorn?
Throw it out there.
While watching him, there's a little bit of Kenny Vaccaro, I see, just in terms of a bigger DB who can thump a little bit. You might want to put him in that box of, oh, he's a safety, but no, like he can cover a little bit. Now, can he do what Kenny did and cover Tavon Austin in the slot? Don't know if he can do that, but I see a little bit. If I'm going to look at a former Longhorn, a lifetime Longhorn, see a little bit of Kenny Vaccaro when I see Junior Tupou.
Guy plays a national schedule, really good competition. They played Grayson. They've played them all. But for those that don't know, he started his high school career at Clearwater Central Catholic. So he had some good views in the first couple of years over at Clearwater Central Catholic. Then moved up to Thompson High last year for his junior season. Obviously, this is one of the premier programs in the state of Alabama. They have Trent Seaborn. They have a number of guys. They had an edge last year that went to Auburn. I think will be a pro. They have a number of Power 4 guys, very talented team, play against a very talented schedule. So when you're watching his huddle tape here while we're talking, he's playing against really good people. I mean, he's playing against speed. He's playing against other Division I players. So this is a guy that at Clearwater Central Catholic maybe wouldn't play against quite this level of competition as he does in Alabama. I mean, they play a national schedule and they play against a bunch of Division I players. And so watching him play corner, watching him play safety, watching him play all over the place, Rod, it really goes to his versatility and football IQ.
Yeah, no, Jeff, I like that Kenny Vaccaro take. That's nice. That's a good one. It's not. I see what you're saying, just because of the versatility and kind of the physicality of it. But I like that comp. Jordan, what are your thoughts about the commitment of Junior Tupou for the Longhorns in 2027?
I like it. I mean, it's a huge need. I know Jerry talked about not penciling him into safety. I'm not going to pencil him in, but right now that's the position he projects best to play. And, you know, you look up and down each room in Austin, safety is the one with the most question marks when we're talking about the future of the room. So huge pickup in that regard. I also love that he has versatility and is good enough to play all five. I think having, you know, the cover skills at the safety position is something that not everyone in college football has. Few programs have the resources, the scheme, the coaches to be able to land those types of players, and Texas is one of those programs. So props to Will Muschamp here. He was big in getting this one done. Blake Gideon did a good job as well, and kind of a rare recruitment as a kid that had Alabama, Auburn high on his list early on. I know he's not originally from there, but when the recruitment started taking off about a year ago, those were the two early favorites. Texas enters the mix. They get him to campus for the first time in April, and they kind of led from there till now. I checked in with the source in the Southeast after each OV he took, and I got the same answer every time. Texas still leads. He's still going to Texas. So good job by the staff, top to bottom, and just keeping momentum throughout the whole thing because, again, this one has been Texas's to lose since April.
Hey, Rod, I want to ask you. Muschamp plays that – he likes to play that bigger nickel.
Mm-hmm.
Could this guy be one of those bigger nickels? Is that why we're hearing, hey, we're not locking this guy in the safety spot out of Austin?
That's a nice theory on that, Jerry. I think Texas has some guys on campus, some of the young guys who could project to be that big nickel, but he prefers a bigger nickel. I went back and looked at his slot corners over the time where he's been the head coach or the defensive coordinator, and they average almost about 6 foot, close to 200. On 6 foot 195, close to 5'11, right 195, 200, so right around there. And Texas DBs right now don't fit that prototype. I still think you got multiple guys that can play the nickel, but I do think he prefers a bigger nickel. Now, if he wants a freakish nickel, a freakish slot, that's a different thing. I think you can, and he could be one of those guys that kind of fits that. To Jeff's point, you can put him down in the box and he does have the frame where maybe he can hold up against the run, or even be, a guy that can be a force defender against the run, and be somebody that you can drop back in coverage. And because he's got cornerback traits as well, I like to just make random notes. I kind of do data points when I'm looking at film evaluating guys, and I had essentially 9 data points I think I looked at overall here that I really liked about Junior Tupou, and 6 of them were leaned toward being cornerback traits over safety traits over cornerback traits. I apologize. Being safety traits over cornerback traits. I think I had 6 of those being safety traits and 3 of those being kind of cornerback traits. I think he either can project to be both, but I do think ultimately you like him playing inside, whether that be the nickel or whether that be a safety. I think that's what I would put him at, because he would be an asset in coverage then at the safety position, no question. But at nickel, he could be that, like you talked about, that big, freaky slot corner or slot nickel that a lot of teams look at these days, that can hold up against hybrid spread schemes that are running 12 personnel that you talk about all the time, Jeff, that are right now trying to get you in matchup disadvantages. And if you've got a guy that can fit against the run and hold up against it and has the frame, it wouldn't necessarily be a disadvantage to you. So I like this young man's versatility overall.
Yeah. If you look at, even if you go back to Muschamp's first go around at Texas, he tried, Deion Beasley and Curtis Brown early on are guys that they rolled through that nickel position. But for the most part, his last 2 years, Aaron Williams was in the nickel, a bigger guy. And then Muschamp kind of got Kenny Vaccaro started being the nickel. So Adrian Phillips was a guy that Muschamp had recruited thinking he was going to have nickel versatility. So yeah, you're right. I think it's less about, when a Will Muschamp DB, you've got to think about it from that Bill Belichick, Nick Saban type mindset of, then they're not just recruiting just safeties or just corners. Like, there's a checklist those guys have. Like, you better be able to be physical enough to stop the run. You better be able to turn and run and cover the deep ball, and you better be able to play the ball when it's in the air, regardless whether you're safety, nickel, corner, whatever. If you can't do those 3 things, you're probably not going to be playing much for those guys.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. And it's interesting how hands-on it seems like Muschamp has been with that defensive backfield since he got here, right? Remember the first report you guys had was that he was working with the nickels, like exclusively, felt like he was really hands-on. And now building this 2027 class, you talked about it, Jerry, he was really involved in this recruitment as well. John Merritt, what was the line that it was his first call? Jerry?
First call.
Yeah. He's in between that and the pass rushers in this 2027 class, you can see he's got a vision. You can see the visions coming together for Muschamp: coverage and pass rush, the emphasis on those 2 things. All right, but we'll get to, obviously we got some questions, some other things to dive into, but do you guys, Jerry, before we get, because I know you got to get out of here, I do want you to finish your story that you had before the Junior Tupou commitment, which we'll get back to. You were talking about a story about Arch Manning, and I'm sorry, folks, he got interrupted there.
No. It's funny because when you get the best answers from these guys at the camps like this is when they're working the stations with the little kid quarterbacks and they come up there and start messing with them. That's when you get the real answers from guys. And I was CJ and I were within an earshot of Arch when they asked him, because kids were messing with him. They asked him who his favorite teammate was, and he gave the answer you absolutely should give: Cam Coleman. If your number 1 wide receiver is not your favorite teammate, you probably aren't thinking about it correctly. And then Rory McIlroy is clearly his favorite golfer based on the questions by 11 and 12-year-olds. So there's two scoops from Arch today from the little kids.
I wanted to know is because I don't know, has he revealed his favorite NFL quarterback? I know he talked about Josh Allen a lot.
He is not. CJ was there for 15 minutes. If I'd been there, I probably would have jokingly asked him, what city is your least favorite when you think about it from an NFL franchise standpoint? And I think that might have been pretty telling.
Oh, that is good, actually. Man.
That'd have given you some.
It depends on what your preference is, because some people got to go Green Bay because Green Bay is great, but historically, and I played.
I'm guessing he would have said Cleveland without.
Cleveland probably would have been one of those. Cleveland's a big city, though. Ain't nothing to do out there. When you're in the Valley, Green Bay, there ain't nothing going on out there. Coaches probably love it because you stuck, but you know what I mean. Like there's big cities, and then there's these really smaller venues, and I think Green Bay's probably the smallest. There's no doubt about that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Depends on what you like.
By the way, I want to give a lot of credit here, like to this Manning Passing Academy. One of my big takeaways from this, this is my first year covering this, like covering it. Eli and Peyton are out here sweating their what off because it is hot, steamy, and there's maybe 800 campers and 1 million mosquitoes, and I don't even know how many fire ants. Okay, so there's a lot going on, but these guys are out here the whole time coaching kids up, man. This is not a come get your T-shirt and take a photo with the NFL Hall of Famers camp and they collect checks. This is a legitimate, well done. I mean, Eli's working a station. Peyton's working a station out here. They were working this morning out on the grass fields with the mosquitoes with the quarterbacks. I mean, it's like, and it's not like that. I mean, look, they have Nicholls Stadium right here behind us where it's the main event, which is where the college quarterbacks will be throwing tonight. CJ, myself, will have video from that. But this is real. You can tell it means a lot to the Manning name and the Manning family because that's 2 gold jacket guys working the camp, talking with the kids, instructing the kids, along with the college quarterbacks. 46 college quarterbacks here. Trinidad Chambliss, maybe 5'10 and a half, maybe 5'11. I'd give him.
Wow.
Gunnar Stockton right at 6 feet. Sands probably 6'1", around 210. Everybody thinks of all these quarterbacks being these big guys. There's more. They're really not. I mean, there's some, don't get me wrong, but not as many as you think. I mean, Kamario Taylor looks really good physically, more around that 6'3", 220 or 225. Obviously, Arch is put together. But there's not as many of these guys that are as big as people think they are. That's the one thing I'll say for the college quarterbacks, at least the guys in this group. But it was interesting. We'll have some stuff. Arch's videos up. We'll have stuff from the Manning family. Cooper had some great quotes about year one. Eli talked. I got some stuff from him about Arch's year one, headed to year two. And again, as I said earlier, Archie stayed away from the staying 5 years thing today. Not that means Arch is leaving, but I just think they wanted to squash any of the back and forth talk on that. Oh, is he going to go? Is he going to stay? I think they're probably just saying, let's just let Arch play some ball here.
Yeah. No, that's why I love the theory that like Sark was trying to take the pressure off Arch by throwing out a lot of smack talk this offseason, so all the talk would be about him and what he was saying. A couple of questions, Jared, before I let you go. Is Sam Levitt there?
He is not. Must have been too long of a trip. Yeah.
Stock down.
Sam Levitt. Okay.
He showed up when he was at Arizona State quarterback, but not when he's an LSU quarterback. Is the rumor true that the Mannings and Kiffins aren't on the same? I don't know, because I haven't seen Knox Kiffin out here either. Now, I don't think they have yoga studios in Thibodeau either. So I'm not sure. Hey, by the way, you know who looks great physically?
Who's that?
CJ Carr.
Damn, I literally, my second question was going to be, how does CJ Carr look? Okay, there you go. All right, done. That's
wild. CJ Carr looks good. He looks good. I mean, he's a 6'3", 220-ish pound guy. Looks athletic. He looks athletic just walking around. Rod, that look. Guys that just look athletic.
Mm-hmm.
That he's somebody for sure. I don't think there's any. And we're going to watch him throw tonight. I think that's going to be really interesting. I talked to John Mateer. I was in that scrum for about 10 minutes today. I think on Mateer, he's just excited to be healthy. I mean, I think that's his main thing. He's just excited to be healthy. And I can tell you guys, he's definitely looking forward to Texas OU as a healthy quarterback this year.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I know it is. Yeah.
That one's going to be a little chip on that shoulder for him.
I feel that because I think him and Venables, there's some desperation for both of them to show up in that game. All right, Jerry, great stuff as always. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, brother. Take care.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Good stuff. That's my man Jerry Hamilton live from Manning Passing Academy. He and CJ Vogel are down there. So if you do want those nuggets, On TexasFootball.com right now is a great time to do it because it's a great special over there. You can get it right now. Boom, that's why Mattress is the best in the business. $3 for 3 months of the best coverage of Texas football that you can get anywhere. Recruiting, that's included in there as well. Only for the new subscribers, but limited time only. But it's fantastic. The whole squad contributes over there. Jeff puts up great stuff. So does Jordan. Hank South as well. CJ Vogel, Bobby Burton, Jerry Hamilton. You won't get better coverage for pennies on the dollar. If you're a ball on the budget, you won't find a better deal than that. All right. Speaking of great deal, let's thank our sponsors right now. And right now is a great time to do it. Let's thank our friends over at Garage Beer, our lead sponsor for our Friday live stream. Thank you to our friends over at Garage Beer. Has become one of my favorite light beers, folks. I'm a big fan, and now you can find it everywhere. I remember when we started, actually, this partnership with Garage Beer, it was only at a few select locations now. Garage Beer is all over the place. Wherever you do your grocery shopping, wherever you get your spirits and your wines and all of your favorite beer, you probably can find Garage Beer there as well. It is beer-flavored beer. That's what they like to describe it, but it's great. 95 calories, crisp, refreshing, and really great tasting as well. The garage is always open. They're not trying to impress you with their fancy ingredients or the rich backstory or their secret techniques as well. They're all about making sure that they just put out a fantastic product and to make sure that you know about it. 95 calories, crisp, refreshing, and like I said, beer-flavored beer. They also have it in lime. They got the traditional and they got the lime. I love the traditional. I got it right here, actually, in my little fridge here, my mini fridge here in the office. Thank you to our friends over at Garage Beer. Also, while we're thanking sponsors, let's thank our friends over at Prize Picks as well. We appreciate them all the time. If you are right now, if you're not picking with Prize Picks, folks, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Friends at Prize Picks, they make your sports viewing, sports watching experiences that much better. And right now is a great time for you to jump in on the experience. Baseball in full swing, got the WNBA rolling, got the World Cup going on right now. Lots of folks invested in the World Cup, and Prize Picks just adds more fun to it. Now, every possession matters. Every at-bat matters. You're locked in from start to finish. You're not just watching anymore. Nah, you've got juice in the game. Best part is it's easy. You pick more or less on player stats, build your lineup, submit it, and you're good. It takes maybe minutes. You can go across different sports, mix and match it, get as creative as you want. Go with your favorite player on your favorite team, or you can go with basketball or baseball, golf, soccer, MMA, even esports, if that's your thing, right? So they got everything available to you over at Prize Picks. And right now it's available in all 50 states right here, including in the great state of Texas. So if you haven't jumped in yet, now it's a great time. Download the app, use the code HMA, play $5. They'll give you $50 in lineups instantly. That is the code HMA. 5 gets you 50. It's just that simple. And as always, play smart, play responsibly, play with our friends over at Prize Picks. And we appreciate our friends at Prize Picks and all their great support of On Texas football. All right, let's get back to Super Chats, gentlemen. Then we'll dive into some other questions. We obviously, right now, the big story, Longhorns getting another commitment in the 2027 class, Junior Tupou, the defensive back out of Alabama. Rocky Pete up next says, insert Texas fight. Another one. Yes, momentum is a real thing, right, Jeff? And you can, it's right now pretty palpable in Longhorn recruiting based on what we're talking about 2 weeks here. It seems like, every other day or so the Longhorns are getting themselves a commitment.
I'm not gonna say every year, but under Sark, this tends to happen, right? It starts slow, right around April, late April, early May, right around the time spring ball's winding down. Everybody's freaking out about recruiting and what's going to happen. Why doesn't Texas have any momentum? And then boom, at some point during the summer, before you get to camp, they're going to have this run of commits. I mean, at this point, look, is this staff perfect? No. Are they going to have years where they don't fill all their needs on their board? Yeah. And I'm sure with the Jarrell Bridges news that just apparently popped a little bit ago, we can talk about linebacker here in a little bit, but not being one of those areas where maybe you need to do some senior evals. But at the end of the day, this staff has earned my trust. Sark has earned my trust. So I will trust them that they know what they're doing. They read the room pretty well, and they've got a pretty good handle on this. Again, they're not perfect. I don't know many staffs in the country that are, but Jordan, I hope at this point that people that might want to reach for that panic button in April and May, just don't. If there comes a point where we get to one of these years where we get to August and nothing's happening, then you can start to worry a little bit. But until you get through the summertime, man, I'm gonna trust Sark and the staff to close. I don't know, Jordan. You tell me because you crunched some numbers on this. I feel like they've done a better job, maybe in this cycle than some others, of actually closing earlier, or the gap between a guy coming on an official visit and a commitment. It feels like that gap's closing down a little bit in this cycle.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that's happening with Texas. They entered the summer with more commitments than they've ever entered a summer with in the Sarkisian era. I agree with you. It feels like they're also committing sooner after OVs as well. And to be honest, I think this is all across the country. And I think the main reason is money. Schools, whenever – so I'll kind of break it down like this. When a kid is going to visit Texas, depending on the position he plays, how good he is, where he is on the board, numbers will vary. Most of the time, if the kid doesn't have an exact number or his agent doesn't have an exact number going into the Texas OV, it'll be a range. We'll pay you anywhere between $300 to $400K a year. That's what we think for this position, for how much you play year one and your projection the rest of your time here. And then they sit in a meeting with Brandon Harris, and it's not $300 to $400K. It's $310 year one, $350 year two, all these potential incentives, blah, blah, blah. And that's how it goes. But also on these OVs, they can say, we're going to give you $400 a year instead of $310 a year, but you have to commit in the next week. And all these schools are now doing similar strategies. And Texas, they don't use that exact one, but every school in America is using those strategies. There's less work for them to do if you commit now and not a week from now. That's kind of just how it works. So I think Texas has done a really good job this cycle. I think Tupou is another example of that. And I mean, like you said, Jeff, like I don't know why Steve Sarkisian always sometimes wants to take the hardest road and take some L's before he takes some wins. I think this cycle has been good and is much better than like the 2025 cycle where Myron Charles and Josiah Sharmer was supposed to go to Texas on the same day. And within an hour before both those guys were supposed to commit, a bag was dropped and they went elsewhere, only to end up in the class later on. Like, it's definitely a roller coaster at times. I think this is the most kid-friendly roller coaster so far, I could say, I think, of the Sark era. I don't know.
Yeah, Sark with recruiting, it's kind of like my wife with me and either washing the dishes or mowing the yard. Like, why are you doing it that way? You're taking the longest possible window. I'm like, just let me cook. Just leave me alone. It'll get done. And usually there's no complaints whenever I'm done. It's done. It's fine. You might not like that I, go around the house to get from A to B, but it's not. But, I'll say this too, Rod. Jordan brought up the money, and I think it's not so much the dollar amounts that are key here, but to me, Texas may not be at the forefront of setting the trend in terms of whenever there's a change, and we saw this when NIL became a thing in that summer 2021, but so they might not be at the forefront of like setting the trend or setting the market in terms of like having their NIL rev share numbers, like basically having their ducks in a row. But once they get it figured out, I think kids understand, okay, Texas will be as competitive as anybody else for the guys that they really want, and the money's going to be there. And what's important, and I think guys are really figuring this out, and I think we're starting to see this, definitely starting to see it happen in men's basketball. I think baseball's starting to get there. I think what guys are realizing is more often than not, when Texas tells you a number, there's like a 99% chance that that's going to be the number. They're not going to tell you a number and then be like, well, can I write you a post-dated check for that? Like it may and maybe the number that they told you on the top end is just completely out of the realm of possibility. I think that's what something happened. I think Schloss and baseball program are dealing with that right now, whereas they may be telling the guy, hey, this is where, like Jordan said, this is kind of the range we're going to give you. And baseball's different because it's more kind of 1 year stuff or maybe 2 year at the most than football is. But then it's like, well, okay, well, school X is going to give me twice that. So I'm going to go there. Not realizing that school X has no intention of paying you twice that. So I think it's just, again, Texas may not be at the forefront of wanting to set the market, but once they get a feel for where the market is, the numbers are as competitive as anybody in the country.
Yeah, and with that too, like early on in NIL, there were a ton of schools saying, yeah, we'll pay you $100K. Come on. And you show up on campus and, sorry, Jeff, we only got 40.
Wow.
It doesn't open until next spring. Sorry. We'll renegotiate in March.
Wow. Man.
Rod, I know you didn't go through this in college, Rod, because you were an athlete, and I know there were rules about guys couldn't have jobs at that point and everything. But it's kind of like everybody goes through this in college, where you hear about a job and you go there, and then you realize, man, this sounds great, and then you realize about 15 minutes in, like, oh, this is one of them pyramid schemes. This is fake money. It's a fugazi. I'm out of here. This ain't. That's some of the stuff that happens with some of those NIL numbers sometimes.
Yeah, I had to put the worst thing I got is like they would promise you like a numbers, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you get this number, and then when you get on campus, it's like, no, man, you ain't getting that number. What you talking? You're a freshman. You get whatever the hell we want you to get, or you pick between these 5 numbers here. It's your choice. So that kind of thing. But I get you. Yeah, they promised a lot when they're recruiting. That's like when there's a reality TV show out there. I think it's called Love at the Lockup or something, and they call it Jail Talk. When they talk, it's like, I don't know why these people they want to date somebody in jail. When they're in jail, they talk all this crazy stuff like, oh, I want to marry you, so oh, you're beautiful, amazing, and they get out of jail and then it all changes. It's like, yeah, of course, because when you're in jail, you ain't got nothing to do. Of course, the person you're talking to is the greatest thing you've ever seen. If they sending you money and they're in jail, anyway. But there you go. Let's get back to the super chats. Rocky P with another super chat. He says, CJ texted me and asked to have his stuff shipped to Norman. He can't quit Mateer and is joining Gay Biker podcast. Pray for the young prodigy. Thank you, Rocky B. I know. Listen, listen. Mateer. Jerry just brought it up too. Mateer's got a lot to prove now in that Texas OU game because Longhorn fans been mocking that dude on social media for a year straight, and he knows that that's kind of where his stock started to drop. It was that game. It was because of the injury and all that, but he's going to come out with some renewed vigor, if you will, for that Texas OU game. I'm telling you. And I actually was a Mateer fan. I think the young man still actually in that Arbuckle offense is pretty dangerous, but Longhorn fans were unimpressed last season after watching him with that injured hand. So.
Anyone remember the name of the doctor that did the surgery?
Dr. Shin.
That was like one of the funniest 3-week stretches of Twitter. People were going on the OU on 3 site called Sooner Scoop and were making Dr. Shin profiles with like his profile photo from LinkedIn. And they were like, John Mateer will be healthy versus the Texas Longhorns. It was pretty funny. And there were people, there was someone at Chipotle, someone who worked
yes, I remember this
burrito line at Chipotle.
Yes. I remember that.
Tweeted, like, John Mateer just told me he's going to play versus Texas. And that was on like Wednesday or Thursday. And no one believed him. And then like 20 minutes after that tweet, he posted like a selfie he took with Mateer walking out the Chipotle. He's like, no, I talked to him. I proved. So those are 2 things I wanted to bring up. The third thing, how grateful is John Mateer that this Sorsby stuff happened and took the heat off him for the Venmo screenshots?
Oh, man.
Because, like, to be honest, I think he was just screwing around. Like, in high school, my parents could see my Venmo account, and me and my buddies always named the transactions something in cocaine. Like, we're just messing around, you know? Like, I don't think he actually did it. They have to investigate it since it was such a big thing, and I think something would have come about if there was, but I don't know. I love the memes and all the talk that comes with John Mateer, especially versus Texas, and I'm excited to see it again this year.
Man, Jordan, the more Jordan talks about stuff he did in high school, the more it convinced me. Like, I've got an 8-year-old daughter. Rod, your daughter is not that younger than mine. I'm keeping her away from social media and anything that gives unfettered access to the internet as long as I possibly can. So thank you for reinforcing that. Hey,
I've never had fun on Venmo or anything naming these transactions.
Well, you gotta have money to do that. So no, I didn't have fun on Venmo. Like Venmo wasn't a thing in high school. Like
that is true.
It was when I was in high school.
Y'all have wives looking at y'all stuff. Y'all can't do that.
That was before my time. That's not how we got in trouble. We did other stuff, but I did not know the Venmo stuff.
Yeah,
I can't.
I think PayPal might have just been a thing at that point, but it was a cash business for the most part. But no, hey, on Mateer though, seriously though, Rod. By the way, Dr. Shin is also who did Adrian Rodriguez's hand surgery for baseball, which there was that whole deal with the cobalt screw and having to get it removed. But that's drama for another day.
The GOAT.
But he's the best hand specialist in the country for a reason. But with Mateer, I've said this before. Keep this in mind with OU. OU's in the same boat that Texas was in between A&M leaving the SEC, leaving the Big 12, and Texas joining the SEC. Texas didn't have that secondary rival. So basically all Texas had was Oklahoma. So if you lose the OU game, like, it's really hard to put a positive spin on your year. That's the same boat OU's in right now. OU could lose the Texas game. It's like, you know what? If we win Bedlam, it's fine. Just like Texas now. If you happen to lose the OU game, hey, we can still beat the Aggies, and we can still have something redeemable about this year. If OU loses that game, they don't have much else at that point that's going to get their fan base riled up. Now, they made the playoff last year, but you still ask a lot of OU fans, like, no, they want to get this Texas thing figured out. And if you're Texas, I wrote about this last year, like, Texas had an OU problem for a long time, and it's about time. And Rod, I've studied this. We talked about it. Red River is a series of runs, and I don't mean like you win like 2 or 3. Like, no, like winning 8 of 11, winning 5 of 6. Like, one team tends to go on a really big run. It's time for Texas to have one of those runs. That Texas hadn't had one since, you look at 05 to 09, they won 4 out of 5. Texas Sarks got Texas position to have one of those runs. And if you're OU, if you don't get that problem fixed, then you're going to have one angry fan base.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I was there. Trust me, I was playing when Texas had the OU problem. It was a hell of a conundrum to deal with. And no, that's the great reminder, Jordan, about the Chipotle dude. About this, that's why rivalries are awesome. Chipotle dude just kind of rose to fame on social media. I was like, man, this guy's full of it. Turns out Chipotle dude was right. He was on the money. Somebody
think about, you might have lost OU a few years in a row. At least y'all got in the end zone, Rod.
Yeah, it's true.
Most of those times. I just went back and looked. But they're 0 for 2 last 2 years.
Yeah, but ours was different or unique, I should say, because OU had just won the national title, and they were essentially like a powerhouse nationally too, and we couldn't figure out. Mac at that time just couldn't figure it out. It took Mac like 4 or 5 years to figure out how to consistently to beat Bob Stoops, to go on that run that Jeff was talking about. And I think part of it was, honestly, for Mac, he needed player-led teams. Mac tried to control way too much early on when I was there. And by the time he figured it out, it was, I guess, got to recruit the right guy, VYs and the Colt McCoys of the world, and just let them have the team. All right. And I'll put all the right pieces in place. And that's what he did a great job of, put all the right pieces in place. And that's when he went on them runs. Because his player-led teams were, in my opinion, they were tougher and they were more clutch than the teams where he tried to micromanage everything. And I don't know why that was the case. It could just be as simple as quarterbacks were clutch and in those clutch moments. It could have been that simple.
Marco put it in the chat, so we don't have to say it. Rod has more touchdowns in Red River than the OU offense the last 2 years. That's a fact.
Yeah, no, that's it. Yeah, and that's to your point, though, Jeff, about them runs. It's always humiliating losses for the other side. So, I mean, we got blown out in 2000. And then, and to come back. Yeah. So, and so it's always like when that other team is on that run, they oftentimes will have those blowout, like bludgeoning, whatever, just old biblical style butt whippings they put on teams. And those are hard to stomach as a fan base, man. Those I've been a part of them as a fan and as a player. Those are brutal.
But I've talked to enough people that have played in the game. You talked about this, Rod, and I've talked to enough guys that have played in that game. Guys are coaching it. Typically, when a blowout happens, it's because the team that gets blown out shows up to play a football game. The team that does a blowing out, they show up for a fist fight, hoping a football game breaks out.
Hell yeah, you're right. Yep, state fair street fight, baby. That's what me and my man Craig Way like to call it. All right, let's get to Super Chat. Another one here from Drew Lockhart. Thank you for the Super Chat. 3312 says Junior's measurements similar to Downs.
I looked at it. Caleb Downs at the combine was basically 6 foot. He's like 5'11" and 5'8". So 6 foot 206 is what Caleb Downs was.
Okay, yeah, okay. And Tuopo is what like 6'2", 190.
He's hovering a little north of 6'2".
So. Okay. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, so he's a little taller than Downs. The thing is, Downs, I would say to be a great safety, instincts is one of the most underrated things, and it's hard to really quantify instincts. You really just got to watch a ton of film. I think you got to watch entire games to show kind of great instincts for a player. You got to see the game. You know what I mean? You got to watch the entire game, not just the highlights. It's hard to really quantify that, but I think that's something you really got to have at safety. and Caleb Downs' instincts and football IQ were extraordinary for a player. And he physically, I think, was gifted too, but I don't think he had freakish. I don't know how much testing he did or had to do. But I don't know if his measurables are freaky. And I've talked about this with you, Jeff. My theory, safety is one of those positions. Go look at, and I know it's not the end all be all, but you guys are, familiar with the relative athletic score, the RAS score that comes up every combine. Right? This guy's got a RAS of this, RAS of 8, whatever it is. It's basically up to 10. And go look at the great safeties and their RAS scores, like Earl Thomas and Ed Reed. Like they're like back at 5 and 6, and they're like terrible RAS scores.
Kenny Vaccaro's wasn't very good.
Yeah, like they some of them I'm sure are freaky and great, but most of them are not impressive. But it's all about IQ and intellect and instincts. And I think for Junior Tupou, that's what you're really looking for from a guy you think can play. That's why I love the fact that Jerry said, "Oh no, they're gonna try him at all 5 positions." Yeah. If he's got that kind of football feel that he can just kind of seamlessly try out at all those different positions and not do it awkwardly, not look awkward at corner and at safety, which I agree with that. That just shows you he does have a good foundation of football instincts overall, which I like. I think which was necessary in my opinion to play safety and nickel too. I think I don't think at corner. I don't know if you need great instincts at corner. I don't think I had great instincts, and I could play corner really well. All right, I think you could just have some certain elite traits at corner out there in space. You can be good. And when you're in the central nervous system of the defense, things happen faster, and there's a lot more for you to have to, a lot more things for you to process than it is out there on the corner. Yeah. To be a great player and diagnose the play. I always they gotta be football investigators, and that's why you need the instincts and the IQ. They're essential. At corner, you can have kind of a Mimbo out there, just got kind of a dude who's really kind of an idiot, but he's got great makeup speed, he's got long wingspan. Yeah, hey, all he knows is cat defense. Go cover that cat. All right, I got that. Oh, I got the quarter. Can I cover the back? Yeah, go get the back quarter. That's all you need to know. But at safety, you can't have a Mimbo. You can't have an idiot. You need a smart player.
The truly great corners, and I've thought this for a long time, even going back to, I remember when the Cowboys drafted Morris Claiborne and it didn't work out, but everyone was freaking out about his Wonderlic score at the time, back when they still gave the Wonderlic at the combine. I'm like, he's a corner. I don't care what his Wonderlic score is. All you got to do, he's athletic enough. All you got to do is get out there and cover somebody. The truly great ones, when you get a guy that's got that rare blood, if he's got elite athletic traits and elite instincts, you're talking about Charles Woodson, Rod Woodson, Hall of Fame, top 10, top 15 guys of all time. But Daniel mentioned another one of my all-time favorite players, Bob Sanders. Safety's the reason why guys like Earl Thomas and Bob Sanders, guys that do not pass the eye test, can be Hall of Fame caliber players. And it's because, especially down the spread era, Rod, we talked about this, playing safety is a lot like playing quarterback. Go back and look at some of the quarterback RAS scores and athletic testing. There's no better example. The greatest to ever play the quarterback position in the history of football had one of the worst combines ever in the history of that position. Go look at Tom Brady's combine numbers. They're terrible. But that's not what playing quarterback is all about. Just like that's not today in football what playing safety is all about. So it's not necessarily about having off-the-charts testing. It's about the instincts. But like we're talking about with Junior Tupou, I'm not saying I'm not comparing him to a Hall of Fame player or anything like that, but he's got enough to where you see the instincts, but some of the athletic testing numbers are there, which is why he's going to get a look at multiple positions. But it's like I mentioned earlier with Will Muschamp DBs, he's from that, Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, Nick Saban school of you can't just be a corner to play for me. You can't just be a safety. You better be able to do it all. Otherwise, you're probably not going to play.
Yep. All right, good stuff. Juan with a super chat says, question, with the 5 for 5, will Texas start doing 2-year deals to win some of those recruitments, like a Caleb Seiler and etc.?
Yeah, I can speak on this. So up until this year, I had only heard Texas, well, I should say, for talking contracts, financials, as far as high school prospects go. Up until this cycle, the 2027 cycle, I'd yet to hear of anyone getting a 2-year contract besides quarterbacks, which makes sense, right? This year, Caleb Seiler in Texas originally were talking about a 1-year deal. Northwestern, Arkansas, these other schools were talking 2 years. A lot of schools want to get these tackles on 2-year deals because if one happens to start, crazy value for 2 years, right? But with Seiler, they eventually went from 1 year to 2 year, and we're talking 2 years with him. The problem was their 2-year contract compared to Northwestern's 2-year contract. The difference was still almost $1 million. So that is part of why Caleb Seiler ended up at Northwestern. And as far as Texas goes, of the other numbers I've heard for players they're either recruiting or have committed in this cycle, in this class, I've only heard 1-year deals there, but it's only been a handful that I've heard of. So each situation is going to be different. Some agents only want 1-year deals, so then you can use your leverage after each spring when the portal opens, which makes sense. The GMs hate it, though. And then on the flip side, some agents want a 2 or 3-year deal. And as far as Seiler goes, I mean, I had a pretty good read on that one. Northwestern offered him a 4-year contract. So kind of crazy. And it is with Northwestern too, the thing that is interesting is, I mean, even if it's a 4-year contract, they can void that and get out of that anytime they want, just like anyone can get out of pretty much any contract now. If you have the right lawyers, none of that matters. So, I think 2-year contracts will continue to be more popular, especially in the 5-for-5 era.
Good stuff, Jordan. Appreciate that. And thank you for the super chat, Juan. We appreciate that as well. Let's thank our last sponsors of today's live stream. Thank you to our friends over at Hayes City. I love my friends over at Hayes City too, because I've been going to Hayes City for a long time. Actually, me and my wife, before she became my wife, when I was trying to impress her on dates and take her to cool spots, I was taking her to Hayes City store. It was a nice date spot back in the day. Now it's a nice family spot as well. You'll love Hayes City store. What I really love about it, not only do they have really good food, but it's scratch-made Texas comfort food, folks. They make it from scratch. They got their famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, homemade desserts, all of it absolutely delicious, all of it made from scratch. Also live music 6 nights a week. They got 50 beers on tap, ice cold long necks, and I love the margaritas. Tasty margaritas. They are fantastic. 11 TVs alone in their ice house. Perfect for game days. And they even have brunch served 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every Sunday. Hayes City store also is dog friendly. They have a tree net so the kids can run around, plenty of space. So bring the whole crew. Bring the family, bring the kids, dogs. Everybody will have a great time out at Hayes City store. Join the folks out at Hayes City store. Like I said, Hayes City store, tx.com. That is the website. You can find out more information there. Hayes City store. It's uniquely Texas. And also, we're thanking sponsors. Let's thank our friends over at Garage Beer one more time. Thank you to our lead sponsor, Garage Beer. The garage is always open. Best way to get the weekend started is with Garage Beer. You can find it pretty much all the spots now where you find your favorite beer, your favorite spirits and wines. Also, where you do your grocery shopping. The word is getting out about our friends over at Garage Beer. They say it's just beer-flavored beer, but I love it. 95 calories, crisp, refreshing as well. Not trying to impress you with the rich history or the secret brewing techniques or all of the fancy ingredients. Nope. They know the only thing you care about is that it's great tasting, which it is. I can guarantee you that. And it's only 95 calories. So thank you to our friends over at Garage Beer. The garage is always open. Also, it comes in lime and traditional. I usually keep the traditional right here in my little mini fridge here, but also they have the lime, which is pretty good too. So check it out. Our friends over at Garage Beer. All right. Thank you very much to Matthew behind the scenes, doing a great job. Always. We appreciate him. He's the real MVP. Thanks to Jerry, who's joining us live from Manning Passing Academy and dropped in a few nuggets for us. Thank you, Jordan. Great stuff. As always, appreciate working with you. Jeff, thanks for the hard work. As always, you are the man. Thanks to our sponsors as well. Thank you to our friends over at Garage Beer. Thank you to our friends over at Prize Picks and Hayes City Store. For Jordan and for Jeff. And
we got one more super chat, Rod.
Oh, did I miss one? I apologize.
Just came in.
My bad, Drew. I apologize about that. I'm moving a little too fast. Thank you, Drew, for the super chat. He says, "Where's Jonah at? Is he 100 and participating full go? Week 2, Jeremiah and Henry on the outside. Will he be Cade and Littleton? What's the expectations for Jonah this fall?" Thank you for the super chat, Drew. Always love to talk DBs. I assume Cade Phillips, and I think if you're going to look at a nickel right now, I feel like Bo Masco might be trending toward being a nickel, but I could be off about that too. Like I know he's worked at both of them. Grayson Lowson's worked at both. But I wouldn't be surprised if you saw a Bo Masco there. But Grayson Lowson, I mean, he's the guy that started every game for you at nickel last year. But like we talked about, the Muschamp nickels are a little bit thicker, a little bigger. So that's the question that we don't know. And we know that Muschamp's working a lot with the nickels. But we don't know if he's got a preference about these guys and the body types. I know Bo Masco's a little thicker than Grayson Lowson, but Grayson Lowson is not a liability against the run, in my opinion. I don't know if I think if last year we were looking at the film, we were like, oh man, Grayson Lowson couldn't hold up against the run. He was a liability. Teams attacked him that way. I don't necessarily think that was the case. And my assumption is he would only improve after being a true freshman there. So it wouldn't be a criticism of him, but there is a belief, as we've talked about, that Muschamp likes a bigger nickel, but no doubt Cade Phillips is a starting corner for me on the outside. No question.
Jonah is participating, but he's not going to be 100% till you get closer to camp because of that shoulder surgery that he had from baseball season. By the way, a little bit of late breaking baseball news. Casey Borba is a guy that we were wondering kind of what his future is going to be at Texas. He has just announced on social media he's not going to pursue anything with the draft or professional baseball. He will be back at Texas in 2027, so that should check a box for Schloss and company at first base next season. So Casey Borba is coming back. So good for the baseball program. And Rod, I need to give me one of those signs because once again, it has been 0 shows live or recorded since I have discussed Jonah Williams on the channel. So the streak is usually not very long. So shout out to Jeff for the super chat for letting me start a new streak.
Also, I know we got to get out of here, but just wanted to hit on it real quick. I don't think Texas is going to ask any of their corners to follow either Jeremiah Smith or Chris Henry Jr. They're 6'4" and 6'5". You're basically defending the mirror image on the opposite side of the field. Yeah. So that being said, I think Cade Phillips and Masco will match up the best. Like Rod said, Masco's thicker. He's also longer than Littleton. And then Cade Phillips, he might only be, 6 foot half an inch, just under 6'1". But he has a 6'6" wing, 34-inch arms, and he high jumped like 6'7" in high school. So that's Texas's best athlete in the cornerback room. I firmly believe that. And if anyone has a chance to potentially shut down Jeremiah Smith or Chris Henry Jr., Cade Phillips is going to be part of that. So, yeah, just wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, that's one thing I agree with Jordan. I'm confident Cade Phillips he's up to the task physically, and I think he's one of my favorite players in the secondary. I'm not sure he's going to play the nickel though. I'll admit that I'm not sure where Muschamp's going to go with it. At that nickel position.
I mean, obviously Muschamp's different than Jordan Scruggs, but from my point of view, keep him there as long as he'll play there. Like until he starts talking like Jade did, where it's like, hey, I'd like to play corner to help my NFL chances. Keep him at nickel. He's a damn good nickel. And did anyone else realize how big of a difference it was having Jade Barron at nickel compared to Gilbo a year apart?
Like
this is a big difference. So, or even Gilbo to Grayson Littleton, freshman All-American. Like that is a very important position in any defense. So, yeah.
No, I like that. That's great. That's a great take, Jordan. I love that. All right, thank you for the super chat there, Drew. We appreciate it. And I do think if Jonah's healthy, Jonah's got the highest ceiling of all your safeties. I include Jelani McDonald in that conversation.
No question.
If Jonah's if he's healthy, but that's a big old if, man. Big one. All right. Thank you, Jordan, for that. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you for Jordan and for Jeff and for Matthew. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis. Until next time. Look once.